Hello everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be working on this Japanese black pine. Nice small guy with a lot of foliage coming in now. Today we're just going to clean it up a little bit, maybe do some initial selection on some stuff, remove some of these older needles that are long to get ready for all the new ones coming in. I'll leave some of the longer ones up here because there's still buds that are formed up in there that I'd like to have grow. But down here, I just plan on selecting some of the smaller branches that I'd like to keep. Normally, I wouldn't do it this early in the year, but I plan on keeping this thing compact, so we gotta experiment a little bit with what we can get away with. Normally I'd wait till these finer needles have fully extended before I start moving the previous year's needle back in here. At the very least, we could trim them back so that we can really see what we're working with. I do not want that bud to form, so we pull it, or pinching the buds as it's called. Right now I have a trifurcation right here where it's splitting off into three. I will need to pick which ones to keep from there. I'm probably going to keep the outer two and get rid of the middle one. In fact, I'll take care of that right now. So that later on I'll wire this down a little flatter to help create what could be our first pad. Or at least what I'm thinking will eventually become the first pad. Then we'll work up to this, which it's weak, so there's no point in doing anything to it right now, especially if I intend to keep it. And we'll just pinch away some of these needles from last year that are growing around the base of this branch that I do not need. We've got a few branches growing from this spot. I don't need that many branches coming from there because it will create inverse taper. Sounds like my dogs have found something. Black pines are traditionally a double flush pine, meaning that they'll have 2 flushes of growth per year. You can sometimes trick this with by decandling at the right times, pushing it to getting upwards of 4 growths per year. But really, you're just cutting the 2 growths in half and getting 2 flushes. I should tackle this area that has basically become almost like a bird's nest of different branches forming. Start by pulling out some of these long needles first. I understand that what I'm doing will also take away some of its energy production, but I really plan on keeping this thing as a short tree, most likely in the mame or shohin size. If I go mame, I will need to pull this down a bit more, possibly even cut off this whole thing and use this as the new leader. Doing that will actually help add a level of taper in there by this, and will help balance some of the distance leading out. Yeah. So in this bird's nest of different shoots or different candles, I'm going to thin it out to select really the ones I really want to keep. Because as you can see, there are a lot that have formed right in here, and they are not all necessary to keep. But there are some in there that are definitely worth holding on to. For instance, this one will become a great asset later on when I pull this here to create another pad over this other one. But the one next to it is not needed. Same with the plethora scattered around it. So we will trim away at some of this excess in between. This will definitely be kept to be pulled down. That will be a key part of the structure from what I'm seeing moving forward. There's somebody who once told me that pines are built. When you work on a pine, you are building out everything for the future. What you do now will 100% play an impact on its future development. I find that to be a bit fascinating because as somebody who is still relatively new to the art form, I tend to view it as more of like a collaborative relationship with the tree, where it's like freeform jazz almost, where you just respond to what the tree is doing, adapt to it. But with pines, you can have a lot more control over its development. It appears at one point there was a spider that was hanging out in that cluster. Find that a little interesting. Yeah, we'll just pinch that. So we've really reduced this back a bit. I could use my tweezers for this, but there's something about getting the pine sap on your fingers. Doesn't really bother me. Might bother some. So reduce this back to 5. There's 2 in back that I really like where they are, but I'm afraid which one is actually going to survive what I just did. See, back in here, you have this guy and this guy. So I'll leave all those for right now. I understand that that could cause a little inverse taper section up in here, but that's okay. We're just going to let things go a little bit and see how they develop. Actually, I will pull that one out. So now we have 4 coming from the one spot. Normally I'd like to reduce it down to 2, but we'll let this go for now. We can always remove later. At least we can remove it before it becomes an issue. There's still time. So yeah, I'm actually not going to do anything to these 2 candles over here, because I kind of want to let them go to help thicken up everything throughout the rest of the tree. What's nice by this being the new leader is with this thickening up everything, this will be growing at a different rate than all of that, creating a level of taper where this will be thinner than that, which will help make the tree look older and taller and more in proportion. So yeah, that's where this little pine is going. It's got a little, somebody put some interesting movement in the trunk, or at least did a chop, and that was the branch that took over. There is at least an extra inch underneath the soil to still be played around with. I can't wait for next year when I decide to repot this, or in the winter when I decide to repot this, so I can really do some root work on this and have a lot of fun. So yeah, that's been it for me today with this little tree. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.